people might be joining us, but in the meantime, we'll open with a few words from Dean Hill Clark.
Thank you, Dr. Zanskis. Lauren, thank you so very much for organizing behind the scenes and ensuring that we all got on this virtual platform and meeting, and for the music as well. So thank you so very much to Lauren Walker, our College of Education Communications and Marketing Manager. Welcome to each of you who are here on this evening, and thank you for joining us for the College of Education's student-initiated and student-led conversation as part of our Race, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion series. I am Candy Hill Clark, and I have the delightful pleasure of serving as Dean of the College of Education here at the University of Memphis, where in our college, we are driven by excellence, equity, innovation, and action. As many of you all know, our quote for this year, driving our work in the College of Education, is from Booker T. Washington. If you want to lift yourself up, lift up someone else. I'm excited about this evening's student-planned, student-initiated, student-coordinated, and student-led dialogue and conversation, as I know we will all be lifted. As you know, and as you are aware, our university, under the leadership of President Rudd, has launched the Eradicating Systemic Racism and Promoting Social Justice initiative for our entire university. Additionally, in summer of 2020, Dr. Beverly Cross, the College of Education's Urban Chair of Excellence, and myself co-hosted. We had the great, wonderful privilege of co-hosting Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Circle Talks with faculty, staff, and students from across units and departments in the College of Education. It was out of these impactful, insightful, and rich conversations we launched the college's Race, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee in fall of 2020. And it was during those conversations with our students specifically that this forum was imagined. I would like to thank Dr. Beverly Cross, again, our Moss Chair of Excellence in Urban Education, and Dr. Steve Zanskis, our Associate Dean in the College of Education, for agreeing to serve as co-chairs of our college's Race, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. I would also like to extend my sincere gratitude to the faculty, staff, and students serving on this very important and necessary committee in our college, and I see many of you here on this evening. And additionally, a big thank you and much appreciation to our student moderators and to our student panelists. I look forward to listening and learning on this evening. Again, if you want to lift yourself up, as Booker T. Washington reminded us, lift up someone else. Thank you so very much. And at this time, I'll turn it over to Dr. Zanskis and Dr. Cross, our RDEI committee co-chairs. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean Hill Clark. Well, today it's my distinct pleasure really to introduce our two moderators. Both serve on our College of Education Race, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. Daniel Lattimore is a counseling psychology doctoral student in the CPR department, and Bria Hines is our undergraduate student representative and a student in our River City Partnership Program. And with that, Daniel and Bria, I'm going to turn this session over to you so you can introduce the rest of our panelists and begin this really important conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Zanskis. I will be introducing our student panelists. So first off, we have Jenesis Anderson, who is a leadership graduate student. We also have Cody Cameron, an instruction and curriculum leadership undergraduate student, who is also a River City Partnership Teacher Scholar. We have Marcos Villa Corrales, who is an instruction and curriculum leadership graduate student. Margaret Maxwell, who is also an instruction and curriculum leadership undergraduate student, who is also pursuing a teaching all learners major. We have Tristan McKenzie, who is a counseling, education, psychology, and research graduate student. And we also have Derricka Tillman, who is an instruction and curriculum leadership graduate student, who is also pursuing a Master of Arts in Teaching.
Hear me now?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, we're just going to do it like this then. Just wanted to give a quick thanks to the College of Education, to Dean Hill Clark for that introduction, Dr. Zinkskis and Cross for helping out, and to DJ Too Fly for the Sky Walker. That's Lauren. Let's get squared away. So the first question for our panelists today are, what is your vision for the College of Education as it continues on its journey to becoming an equity-driven college, committed to race, diversity, equity, and inclusion? And anyone can jump in, our panelists.
I can jump in. Thank you very much for the invitation. I think that the first thing that I would like to say might sound pretty simple, which is just be a place where everybody feels welcomed. But how do we do that? It's like, how can we actively show different symbols of inclusion, like the flags, using different languages on flyers and events, and how can we, like, for example, establishing a bi-directional relationship within the community, so we can build, like, trying to become a change maker and to impact. We're trying to go and establish a bridge between the community and so we, as school, we can go and make that change in the community and be that place where the community can come in and grow and feel that they got a place where we can share and reflect and research what is going on, how can we change things. So it's how can we actually be promoting social justice and following and impacting the whole community, not only the College of Education, but the university as a whole and the city as a whole.
I completely agree. Carrying on what you said, I feel like the College of Education promotes students to participate in careers that foster service in the communities. And I feel like that a greater initiative can be taken to introduce us into those services before we actually indulge in our careers and begin to get started. So what are ways that we can start to develop those healthy habits, working towards social justice before we actually in the careers that we need to do those things as a profession? I feel like outside of the College of Education, there are many opportunities within the community that we could work towards participating in just to further prepare us before we get started.
I can jump in. I kind of thought about this as on a more broad scale, and I can already see progress towards this, but I wanted to go ahead and mention it because I think it's important. And I think one of the visions that I have is just that the College of Education will continue to grow and improve and never complete that journey, because there's always room for enhancement, and my vision would be just to encompass the mindset that the College of Education won't become complacent and won't think that the job is done, and will, like, we are all told, like, we're lifelong learners. And so the College of Education should also be a lifelong learner.
I would add to all you all about the teachers that come through the College of Education to be like a continuous support, even like once because it really starts once we actually start teaching. So maybe we can figure out how we can track their progress and keep up with the effect, how the University of Memphis impacts those teachers. And then and even looking at the student teachers that we're sending out and keeping up with the data, all of that, and looking at it and coming back to the drawing board and figuring out, like, how are we pushing these teachers and how are we making them better teachers, and how does that affect the community within Memphis? Because I know Memphis has a high population of impoverished students, and a lot of teachers from the University of Memphis stay in Memphis. And we're going to these urban schools and figuring out ways to support teachers, and which eventually will support our students. So we can just track even after graduation, because that's how we can really tell if the College of Education is effective. If we continually even if they don't come back for like the master's or don't come back for a doctorate, like some of us here, but those are still our people out here in the world teaching our students.
I can add that I think Miss Anderson did hit that right on the head. I think, as well as Miss McKenzie, I do think that there should never be complacency, and I do think that there's always well, there's not a ceiling. I mean, we can always keep going up and up, and I think the College of Education is on the right path here. But I do think that staying on topic with, is this working? Are we adequately preparing these students to go out into their fields and stuff like that? I think that's something that needs to be high in mind. I think that needs to be first topic. For myself, I've come into many top class educators within the College of Education, maybe not even the educators, maybe the deans. I've come into many top class, and I'd like to see that only go up in the future.
Can I add to that? This is Derek Tillman. I just wanted to add, I completely agree with what everyone said. I definitely think that it starts after you graduate with the program, because unfortunately, sometimes the experiences that we are given when we're in the college is not what it actually looks like once you're out there actually learning and teaching. I think one of the biggest things that the college can continue to do is teach grace and understanding, because that is, in my opinion, going to take your teachers and your students much further. So being able to just completely immerse ourselves into what the title of this whole discussion is that equity, being able to allow all teachers to have an opportunity to give to their students the best them that they can give. But starting there is the support from the college. So definitely agree with what everyone said, adding that extra support there so that we can have someone that we can lean on when we're in a position of getting stuck. Because honestly, this is a lot of people's first time in that type of environment. So just giving them that extra support so that they are supported and are being able to give our kids what they need.
I think you all made some great points that are pillars for our next question, which is, what could the College of Education do to assure success for all students while working towards its RDEI goals and strategies?
I could answer this one first. I think that they should provide opportunities for us to network throughout the college. I know a lot of the moments where I felt most supported were times where I was working within my courses on projects that required collaboration amongst us. So group projects or PLC groups where we had to work together towards a common goal. And I feel like that's something that the College of Education could really employ, not just within the majors, but across the college as a whole, because eventually in our careers, we'll all be working together, whether you're a teacher or your guidance counselor, we'll be working together to foster the success of the students in whatever school environment we're working with. And I just feel like they should, in order to be most successful, we should be provided those opportunities to work together and, get to know people who are unlike us or are pursuing different interests than us, or look at success in different ways, in ways that we can learn to collaborate before we're put into our service positions.
I can talk about this one. Something I thought about was how advising could change or be improved. And so, when you think of advising, you think about setting up your classes. And I just think it could be a lot more than that. It should be, and sometimes like, I'm not gonna, people just email back and forth and try to set up your classes. And I think the actual meeting is really important. And I know I've reached out to my advisors and had meetings with them. And advising that maybe focuses around student goals and student development. And also it's an opportunity to check in on the student and see maybe how's their mental health doing? Or is there any stressors that this student is going through? Can I help refer the student to any kind of resources or supports on campus or off campus? I just think that advising can be, can encompass a lot more than just building your schedule and choosing your classes. And I think if a student had that relationship with their advisor, they knew that, they would be more comfortable reaching out if they were struggling. And then also another thing that I thought about was acknowledging current events in the classroom more so, because this undoubtedly will affect our students. And so it's important for students as they enter the professional world to know what is happening in the country and in the world, and how to talk about this, like how to have those conversations, because we can't really ignore what's happening outside of the school walls because we don't live in a bubble, right? And so I think this will really impact the work we do with students. And I think if we're able to have fruitful discussions in the classroom, that's a skill that can transfer to the professional world. And it can be done by creating an environment in the classroom that promotes comfort and in sharing, and promotes vulnerability and risk-taking.
I would like, first of all, I just want to say that most of my answers, my research is geared towards urban educational reform. So most of my answers are kind of, I guess you can say, biased or has that kind of mindset. And we can blame Dr. Robertson and Dr. Nielsen for that. But something that I've noticed is when you think about like just to become a teacher, you need to pass a praxis test. But we know that Black teachers disproportionately don't do as well as like, and when you compare them to like white test takers. So I think when I Googled, when I looked up the one statistics, 92% of white test takers on the reading portion of the praxis pass, compared to 68% of our Black teachers who take the test. And with the University of Memphis teaching, preparing these people to go out into the world, and with Memphis having a very, very high population of Black and brown students. And we know that the research supports that, and we know we need like more Black and brown teachers in the classroom. So University of Memphis could do a better job of preparing Black and brown teachers to pass the test, and so they can secure these jobs, and regardless of whatever they be, whether it's test prep, it could be maybe vouchers for the test, because that test is expensive. I'm sure we've taken it, many of us have taken it a few times probably, but that's just one way to help.
I would like to add a little bit on that direction. I agree on what you all said. I think it's like really focusing on redirecting specific resources that try to address the most marginalized communities. I think that's really, really important. And I guess that the question that I will give back to our leaders, it will be if we are doing our best on that direction, and if we're analyzing or reviewing the historic programs that the university has implemented towards that community, and so we can expand and improve. So the most one of the initiatives I'm aware of, it's the River City initiative, and I think it's pretty strategic in this sense. I think it's a great example of these kinds of effort, and it's where Black and brown students can find the support and the resources to thrive and go back to the communities and work on improving lives. So how can we expand River City initiative? How can we bring more allies in these initiatives? And I definitely agree on what Tristan just mentioned. I mean, university should not be an island, and it's in the community, and it's the reason of that, and our college, in my perspective, is to reflect what is going on in the community and make a difference right there. So that's why I'll keep on pushing on how can we bring the community into the university and take the university in the community.
Marcos, I just wanted to piggyback off what you said. I'm actually a student in the River City program, scholarship program, and they have done a wonderful job as for setting up success for teachers who are struggling to still pass the praxis. That is just one of the programs that I know of that is offered by the University of Memphis. So I think the push towards this will be to get more programs like it. I know they've talked about more funding and getting more people to come in and to support them, but River City has done an amazing job. I have learned so much. They are very engaged. They're really there for you. You really don't feel like you're going through it alone. And it's honestly has been a very amazing experience. But I just wanted to piggyback off of that because I completely agree. We need more programs like that. We need more situations where we're able to reach out and get help from those around us who has done this already, who can give us a little bit more insight. Yeah, that was pretty much it. Being that I am a student in that program, I have definitely benefited from a lot of the help that they're giving out. Like shout out to Dr. Head. She has been doing an awesome job keeping tabs on the students and just making sure, or as a teachers, making sure that we are able to be our best selves so that we can in turn give our best to our students, because that's the ultimate goal. We want to be able to properly educate our students, give them the opportunities that every child has, and it starts with us. So yes, I definitely think that we should have more programs like River City, because River City is doing an amazing job. I might be biased, but I stand by it.
I'm gonna jump in real quick on that note. Thank you all for your contributions to the question, because it's pretty much already jumping into our next question. I'm hearing a lot of need for connection with our community, connection and communication within our walls and within our classrooms. But this one formally asks, what should the College of Education do to assure all students have strong connections to community and have meaningful community relationships? So one that I heard was the River City Partnerships doing a great modeling of that. What are some other ones, or maybe we can expand?
I can say that through the River City Partnership, you know, as I mentioned earlier, I've come in contact with a lot of top class people. We had a meeting with, I think it was Hickory Hill, with their principal and one of their teachers who, and God bless, I can't remember his name, but he was the same teacher who went viral for doing the really cool stuff with his students about having handshakes with all like 50 of them. So, and I thought that was great. But what I would like to see, what would be really cool for the College of Education, is having that same attitude that's put forth in the River City Partnership to the whole student body of anybody that comes into the College of Education. I think, you know, and I'm not saying at all that people get treated, but it's great. Yeah, I mean, but I would love to see that, because it's all smiles, you know, and I would love to see everybody get the same chances that we get, you know. And whenever we met the Hickory Hill principal, I would love to see that. We got to meet the, forgetting the name of the position, the superintendent of Shelby County Schools. You know, we got to meet him, who is the tippy top. You know, I would love to see that carried out through the College of Education as well, and that not just be so much of the River City Partnership thing.
If nobody jumps in, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh no, go ahead, Marcos. I was just gonna say that Jenesis added to the chat, Barry White Jr. might have been the name
That
of
was the teacher who did the handshake. I remember.
I think that the question that I like to think about in this sense is, how can we make sure that our students, undergrad and graduate level, have their boots on the ground? How can we make that happen? And on different levels, I guess that university helps you to reflect what is going on. How can we solve these issues? How can we bring resources or reflections and make a change? But you don't have an answers if you don't have previous questions. And I think that's why having a different initiatives, programs, a curriculum that keeps students on the ground and reflecting, on the ground and reflecting, walking, having questions and looking for answers. And so I think that's why, I mean, expanding strategic alliances with local, state, or national nonprofits, expand strategic alliances with other local, state, and national universities that are having the same questions and implementing these kinds of discussions. So analyzing what are nonprofits doing, and internships and all these kinds of things that might already exist, but how can we be more strategic on having students on the ground?
And just to add to that, I was piggybacking off of Cody. Cody, you hit it on the head, in my opinion. It starts at the top. Like if we can have opportunities for teachers to talk to the people at the top making the decisions and giving our students an opportunity to see what that looks and sound like, we'll be preparing them for the real world. We'll be preparing them for those tough conversations. We'll be putting them in the rooms with people who ultimately makes the decisions for their success. And I think it's a very important thing for us to all be aware of who's making decisions, what decisions are being made, and just putting our voice out there so that they can hear us. A lot of the times, these people making the decisions for us aren't in the classroom or spend very little time in the classroom. So unfortunately, they're giving their opinion on something, or maybe based off of research, but at the end of the day, those teachers and those students in the rooms are the ones that's actually going through those things. So allowing us to be in the room with those people, sometimes they feel so like we can't touch them. They so high up, and I think it's fair to bring them on our level so that they can hear what the people actually experiencing is wanting to get from them.
I also completely agree with that. I feel like, especially, well, I might be biased since right now I'm learning, going through my clinicals in a virtual workspace. And I feel like having that time to interact with actual teachers who are participating in these things or involving their students every day and, developing new methods to work with their students over the virtual workspace will be very valuable to me, because I'm learning in a classroom how to, incorporate methods and different things, but it's not similar to the empirical evidence that teachers will have, like the teachers who are actually doing the work, not just learning about how to do it or learning from what research has told them will work, but actually employing those methods to help their students be successful. I feel like time working with people actually within the career will be very, very valuable, especially in like striving for my own success and serving my students the best way that I will be able to.
And I think on what Margaret said, something we could do to help that is have like a more involved alumni program, because as we know, a lot of the graduates work in the community, and how can we have an alumni program that is exciting and actually wants former students to work with our current students, with whether it be through like a mentorship kind of role, just so they can get that practical experience. And another thing that was also suggested to me by one of my classmates is that being flexible. And so like, how can you, so we just went through this pandemic. Well, we're still going through it, right? And a lot of students are not in school, right? They're doing virtual learning. And we have soon to be teachers in the College of Education. And a lot of these other students who are working full-time, going to school full-time, they also might have children at home who also need tutors, right? And so how can we partner the soon to be teachers with maybe some students of the children or of faculty or current students, the way it's like a win-win situation. And so they get tutoring for their children and they can focus on their academics, and then also the soon to be teachers get that practical experience in working with the kids.
Okay, if anyone else doesn't have anything to add to that question, I think we really covered great ways of internal connections within the college. So now we're shifting gears kind of to the external factors. So the next question is, how should the College of Education raise awareness of the RDEI efforts on campus and in the community?
I can say something. I really love what we're doing right now. I love that we're having a panel on this, and I love, that we have all these people on here. I love that we have students. I love that we have faculty. We have the top 3 deans in the College of Education here, and we have all these people. And I think that's a great way to get it out there. But I think for the whole college, we got to do more now. Exactly how, I'm not quite sure. We see in the UC now, I know campus, it's open right now, but not a lot of people are on campus. But in the University Center, kind of in the plaza of it, we have the tables being occupied by different groups. Maybe we could do that one day, get some students from the College of Education to go out there and, just have some information on the RDEI progress within the College of Education. Maybe we get some more people to come to these panel meetings. I think it's a great thing to have everybody involved in this, instead of it maybe just being a student thing or being a faculty thing. I think it's a great thing what we're doing right now. We just got to work on getting more exposure with it.
I totally agree. And also I think the College of Education could, we could set the tone for other colleges within the University of Memphis and make this a culture of the entire University of Memphis. And this is a perfect way to start it. You all can talk to your colleagues on your levels, and, we can talk to the students at our levels, and we could just make this change the culture at the University of Memphis to be culture responsive across the entire board. So it can just be like, okay, this is for sure. This is happening in the nursing, College of Nursing. This is happening in the arts. This is happening all across campus. So it's just, this is like the University of Memphis thing, because part of being culture responsive isn't we not just trying to, just make the College of Education think, oh, we're doing something, we're this. You know what I'm saying? We're a family, we're a team. This affects everybody. That's what, I don't know how to end it, but y'all got it.
I completely agree. And I feel like one of the biggest things that he mentioned too was exposure. So a lot of events like these, people miss out on, not because they don't want to participate, but because they simply aren't aware. Like for me, if I wasn't invited to this panel, I probably wouldn't have known that it was ever going on. Like the emails that come through, oftentimes we get 25, 30 emails a day, and stuff just tends to get lost. So I feel like having events on campus, where students can just walk past maybe and then get ways to have information, not simply just sending it out to everybody in like a mass email, because oftentimes that'll just lead to someone like, okay, I got another email, and you scroll past it, but different ways to make them aware so that everyone can participate, and not just, people who are recommended or people within the college. Other people might want to participate as well. And that'll foster a more diverse body of people anyway.
I'll add a little onto that. I agree with you, Margaret. I know there's a new platform out. Some of you all may be familiar with, that's called Clubhouse, and it gives people who want to come in and speak on a conversation an open platform. They don't have to be invited per se or need to be on a panel to just be able to get their voice out there. I think that is an awesome thing that maybe the University of Memphis can host something of that type of nature, so that people can feel comfortable, like you all are saying, coming by, dropping their opinion. They might not even want to stay for long, or whatever time might serve them best, but at least they can have a place where they can come in and actually feel like their opinion or their voice is being heard. So I think maybe having something of that sense, something more open, something that just kind of makes them feel a little bit comfortable. Like I can come in, I can say something, I can feel like it's being heard, and I can feel like I'm making a difference. Because I'm with you, girl. I get so many emails that I will literally pass over it unintentionally. It doesn't even be on purpose, but you just get so much, and they all start to look the same. Like one flyer looks like the other. So how can we make our voice or our message that we're trying to put out stand out more? And I think that we're going to have to reach out to those people and to get more voices. And that might even open up the door to give people a voice who's not even actually in the college program. Their voices matter too. They are a part of our community. So that's reaching into our communities and getting community feedback. So I think those are also a cool way to kind of ensure that we're having that connection with the community, because that's what we're serving. We're serving the community.
And I would like to think that if the College of Education was asked to lead this effort, is because you guys are already doing something. And the best answer or experience comes from this group of teachers and students. So I think this committee is necessary, and it might be already an important result of an effort. And I totally agree on what you all said, but it's, when I saw January 6th, which is behind, and that's kind of one of the things that it's right there, and nobody mentioned that before, but we have that reality, and realizing that a lot of people from our community locally went there and actively participated on those expressions. It really shows us the challenge that we are facing, and the size of the investment that we need to do to modify and to change the reality that we're facing. So I really think that, again, connecting with local efforts that are already there. There's one that comes into my mind. It's a lynching site project, for example. And how is our university, our college, investing on those kinds of initiatives? And how are we speaking the truth in every place possible, in every platform possible? How are we investing on those initiatives?
I'm going to jump in real quick, and I think those are very solid points, and y'all make my job really easy, because the points that you're talking and hitting on right now are definitely going to be included in the next question. And I just wanted to give a quick shout out to the faculty, staff, and our dean that are here right now, because as we talk about, this kind of hierarchy, or maybe this distance from up, you're here, right? We're all in the Zoom call together. We're here on our Thursday afternoons. I get my days mixed up. Yeah, today's Thursday, so it's like, it's just an understanding that, your voice is being heard right now. This isn't something that, it is being recorded, but it's like, we're also part of it live. People are active listening as much as you all are actively participating. So thank you for that. The next question is, how can more students become involved, collaborate, and engage in our DEI work? And I remember a lot of people had great answers. Cody, yours stood out because you're like, we need more students here right now, but I open it up to you all. And thank you, Bria, for putting it in the chat.
So I'll make this short. I just spoke a little, I feel like I rambled on a little bit too much on the last one. I had a great idea. One thing that people love now, I love them. They're available, everywhere now, is podcasts. Everybody loves podcasts. That have tried them. One thing we could maybe do, and now how sure I am of this, that it'll work, I think it would, because it's a hip thing right now, especially with people our age. I do think that making a podcast with students, faculty too, I think that would be something that a lot of people would like. And with the podcast, they're going to be there forever. Whichever app you do them on, they're going to be there forever. So students can go back and they can watch that. It could be a couple years from now. They go back, they can watch that, and they can say, "Man, I really like the information that we got on that one." And we could get different guest speakers, like we talked about earlier, getting more teachers from outside to come into the College of Education, like from Hickory Hill, or the superintendent. Now that might be a reach. He's a hard guy to get a hold of. But you could get those on these podcasts, and that's just more knowledge for everybody.
I agree with Cody. I think the podcast is a great idea, because something I had thought about was just more interactive social media presence, like where maybe that's like polls or videos or surveys, like something that's really quick and easy. And like if someone post a poll on an Instagram story, it takes 5 seconds, like something very quick and easy that can get people involved in even like the most minimal way. And I also think just partnering with more student organizations. And so whether that be like the diversity committee, which I know you're already partnered with, or other organizations like honors organizations, I think that would be very helpful, just so, because like a lot of students don't actually know, and student organizations can help promote the RDI work.
I agree. I wanted to piggyback off what you said. I definitely think using the organizations and the people that we know have a strong presence on the Instagram, or like that's an influence, we can use those people. We have Greeks. You can use people that are known in their Greek. For instance, Jenesis. You can use these people that we have to spread this message, to get the word out there. Some people are going to gravitate more towards the people they feel comfortable to. So having somebody in every lane that can reach these people, I think can also be very meaningful. Yeah, it's kind of weird kind of ending your sentence, but yes, I definitely think that.
But we just delivered a podcast in our own class. And that happened yesterday, and it was specifically to address COVID-19 and how it's impacting us and everything. So shout out to Dr. Cross that made us work on this project. I think you are totally right. It's how can we take those reflections out and make a difference. So I just would like to add, like, how can we intentionally do and like expand the impact with the social media from every participant, from the college, from the university, posting them on even one commercial. I'm sure and I'm positive that there's so many young students like Cody willing to do videos and do all of these different kinds and just share them out in social media and like becoming a symbol of change. And I think that the University of Memphis can definitely do that and become like a light in the middle of all of this. So I really think that how can we do that with students, asking them to lead us and to tell us what's the best approach, so we can not only impact the students, which is in a way privileged community, but how can we take this privileged community out in the community and make that difference that is needed?
I agree. I feel like this wraps everyone's responses together by including different organizations, including different groups, or expanding across different social platforms. In that way, we also diversify our efforts. So we add different ways that we can reach people. We add different topics, different concerns that others may have outside of the College of Education. Like the Greek students may have a different perspective on things, and that's something more important to add to the conversation as well, especially talking about inclusion. Everyone's different perspectives will be included, and we'll learn different ways that they feel are important to connect to the community, or even things they may already be tied into that we can help improve their efforts in, as well as them helping us.
All righty, I'm looking at the time, so I really want to get this question out quick so we can get to the final one, which I think everyone will really enjoy having their input on. So the next question is, in what ways can research be extended to include RDEI?
I can say, because I'm working on my doctorate now, so I've already been through undergrad and my master's, but and I can be honest and transparent to say that I really haven't had a conversation about being culturally responsive until my doctorate program. And I think that's unfortunate. That's sad for me. And a lot of things that I'm learning now, I wish that I would have had the opportunity to learn in undergrad. And even going through my master's program at Relay, I wish that I had the opportunity to learn it undergrad. Even going through, I just feel like I'm behind, or I'm trying to play catch up. So maybe if we could just talk to expose undergraduate students to research, and not just research of just reading papers, but the importance of and why it makes sense, and why being data driven and like qualitative and quantitative, like just having these real conversations of how this really works in the real world. Because I think undergrad, I feel like it was just really lesson plan focused. I remember being so nervous about my lesson plan and barely could talk to my students as a student teacher. But now I'm a teacher, and it's because I built that relationship. But I didn't. Experience has taught me that. But it would have been awesome if I could understand it, if I would have understood it earlier, and been better prepared walking through it.
I think also is like to create initiatives for student involvement in research. And so I think showing students how it could benefit them, because I think a lot of students want to be involved with research, but they don't really know how or why it's beneficial. And so how it's beneficial for them, and also like why do we do research? We do it for like so we can have effective treatments or evidence-based, whatever it is. And we always do it to improve. And so getting people passionate about that and what, like, understand why it's important, because research can be intimidating. And so just breaking it down to the level to where anyone can do research, and encourage anyone that is interested to join in.
I would like to say that maybe it's more like a reflection. I don't have any concrete data on how many of the current current research are considering RDIE. So I would like to think that most of them are, but if those research do not include this topic, it's a reflection that we are failing as a school and as a university, because the question is not there, and it's that person is not necessarily, it's disconnected from the world, and that's kind of the question is, how are we doing on that, and how is that reflecting the impact that we had over the whole bachelor's or even the master's or the doctorate program. So it's the question is, are we exposed to the reality? And because at the end of the day, research is to better understand the reality we lived on so we can transform it. So if we do not have the question, and if we don't see the reality, the challenging reality, and the we don't feel the invitation of transforming this historical challenge of racism, sexism, cultural imperialism, we just need to focus every research effort budget to those topics. Actually, what are we doing if we're not doing that? And obviously, as my fellows have said that before, Tristan, like when you see your teacher and your leaders involved in the community with boots on the ground making that difference, they inspire you and you follow and you learn. So that's a heavy load on the current leaders on the college.
It's a lot of research out about, like my research is in cultural CRP, so culturally responsive pedagogy and things like that. And it's a lot of research and scholars out there who have research surrounding this topic and being equitable within the classroom and community and things of that nature. But I think the issue is, are the people the policymakers and the people in charge, are they reading the research? Or like I feel like that's where the disconnect. Like the people who's reading it are the people who's interested in being culturally responsive, but not the people who need, like the policymakers, the principals, the people in government over education. Like that's where the disconnect is with research.
I
unfortunately.
think these are very, oh, I didn't mean to cut you off, Genesis. My bad.
I was done.
Okay, I just wanted to again thank you for your contributions. Recognizing we have about 4 minutes left, I want to extend this to our panelists. If you have like 1 to 2 sentences on what is your dream for the College of Education as it becomes an equity-driven college?
Daniel, this is Dean Hill Clark. Right before we hear these impactful and profound statements, if we could all hang on for a minute, I'd just like to share some reflective thoughts. This has been so inspiring for me as your dean. And so thank you for that. I can't wait. I'm taking notes in my notebook.
Thank you for that, Dean. Yeah, I extended to our panel, and when we're talking about what you envision for the College of Education, what is your dream for it? And recognizing we have a couple minutes left.
Just because it's an awkward silence, I'm just going to jump in there. My dream is it to be like Dr. G. I can't pronounce her last name yet, but Dr. G is inspired. We're learning about continuously improving. So my dream is that the College of Education continues to improve, and it looks different from when I went through the College of Education now. So if we're still teaching the exact same way and we're not changing anything, if all the classes are the same and the way we teach are the same, then we're not improving. We know that the education, that's something we're restricting. How everything else has changed from like 1950 to now, but the classroom still looks the same. So I feel like we need to be continuously improving, and it starts with panels like this. So I really appreciate it. So we just need to keep it up, but also we need to not just talk about it. We need to just be about it. And the people who make the decisions, make the decision, make it happen. And that's it.
It's hard to pick what are the last words, right? Like I think that the final words I would say it's I believe and I dream on a college of education able to not focus on the privileged students that have made this far. I believe that these students are here because they want to change that world. They want to change that reality. And we need leaders inside of this college that teach us how to do that. And they walk with us, changing that reality. The focus is not to serve them, but to change the reality. And working together on that end, I think that's really the goal. And if we are not changing that reality, we should not exist in a way. I think that the very nature of this college, it's to expand the access to that truth and knowledge. And I'm thrilled that you guys are having these opportunities and these. If we see what is going on in a different lens, this is a huge opportunity to change and to reflect and to redirect the very vision of our existence.
I dream that our college would look like all students being able to grow, to learn, and to give back to our community. I just imagine a college that's very intentional and that's very culturally driven, that understands that it's bigger than our university and our campus, and understanding that it takes a whole village. I know we've all heard that quote before, but I see our college living that quote and being able to service and help all of our students and all of our teachers that's in our area, in our city, so that we can just become better citizens and better people and just better educated. So I definitely see our school giving grace, listening, helping as we build our community around us.
And I like that. And also like with the large scale, but also down to the smallest thing, because I think when our professors and the faculty show how passionate they are, that really shows a lot to us, like as students, and that inspires us and that motivates us to want to be involved too. And so just not simmering that fire and keep going and always improving. As long as we just keep having these conversations and keep wanting to grow, I think we're on the right track.
I hope that for the future that the College of Education keeps this attitude alive, and I hope that the College of Education stays proactive and not reactive. I think earlier, I forget who said it. Somebody said that the College of Education, they could set the tone for the rest of the whole university, because I haven't seen the movement in other colleges, not one in the same way the College of Education does. So I really hope that we continue to see proactiveness out of this college and not reactiveness.
Recognizing that we're at time now, but I want to make sure that all of our panelists have had a chance to share. Has everyone gotten to speak? Or that want to speak? Okay. Well, Dean Hill-Clark, did you want to say an additional word, or what is that?
I'm just going to say a very quick word. Daniel and Bria, thank you for facilitating this impactful and amazing panel discussion. Everyone, if we could just do a clap through symbols and icons. Outstanding job from one of our doctoral students out of CBER and one of our undergrad students out of the River City Partnership Teacher Scholars Program. So thank the two of you. On another note, to our panelists, thank you for your insight, for your transparency, for your ideas, for your recommendations. Thank you so very much. Please join me in thanking our panelists as well. And I just want to close my comments by sharing, as your dean, I want you to know, I need you to know that we see you and that we hear you. What happened tonight was again born of and imagined out of our DEI Circle Talks Dr. Costa and I hosted this summer, specifically the student conversations. And so we will continue these conversations. I've taken a host of notes. I miss you. I see you there, Dr. Hall, our Assistant Dean of Student Success, who is here taking notes as well on some of your amazing ideas. So again, as your dean, I appreciate your transparency. I firmly believe in the word leader that starts with the letter L. Leaders lift. They have a responsibility to listen, and they have a responsibility to lead. This panel was your panel, and as leader in our college and one of the many leaders, I hope that I was able to lift, because we had this to happen tonight. I know I definitely listened and I definitely learned. And I just want to say thank you, students, so much, and to our faculty and staff who joined in and also listened and learned tonight. At this time, I'll turn it either back over to you, Daniel and Bria, or Dr. Zanskas. Thank you all so much.
Yes, thank you everyone for attending. Thank you, Dean, for those kind words. We do feel, we believe in actionable steps. So you being here is an actionable step, and I challenge you to take one after you leave here. Whatever that might look like is that you keep that momentum going. So just naming you by being on our panel. Thank you, Jenesis, Cody, Marcos, Margaret, Tristan, and Derica for being part of our panel, and to my co-facilitator, Bria. And we will see you in a bit. Look out for some targeted emails from College of Ed and, all of that good stuff. But yeah, that could have gone a lot smoother, but that's how we do it, right? They're giving me the wrap-up box. We take care of everyone, and enjoy the rest of your Thursday.
Thank you very much. It was great. I appreciate